Good morning. Welcome to Daily Focus. I trust that you are off to a great start to your day and that you have remembered to thank God for another day and that you have spent a season of Thanksgiving, remembering that all that we have is from the good hand of our good God, who giveth good gifts from our Father above. And so I think a season of Thanksgiving is healthy every morning. Otherwise, we begin to develop an entitlement mindset and we begin to take things for granted. One of my favorite lines is, what if I only woke up today with what I thanked God for yesterday? And I think it's a great little reminder to thank God for the little things as well as the big things, the ability to feed ourselves, the ability to walk and talk, and some of the little things that we just tend to take for granted. And then the big things, our wife and our children, our grandchildren, our home, our jobs, and our church, our pastor, and so on and so forth. Well, we're in Proverbs chapter 21, and we want to look at starting at verse number 4. A high look and a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked is sin. It's a interesting little phrase there, the plowing of the wicked. It almost gives us the idea of a farmer's term, and we think, how is the plowing of the wicked? It really has the idea of that which motivates, or that which is behind the decisions of the wicked is sin. So it literally says they choose the path that they choose because they're wicked. And that wickedness is sin. And so he gives us a high look and a proud heart. These are synonymous with someone who is self-centered and wicked. And the very thing that motivates them and directs their wickedness is pride and selfishness. Verse 5, the thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteous, but of everyone that is hasty only to want. The thoughts or the planning or the thinking behind a diligent person tends to be productive. In other words, a diligent person tends to plan their day and they work their plan, and at the end of it, they can see that they've been productive, they've gotten a lot done. And then the rest of that verse says, but the one that is hasty comes to want. In other words, somebody who doesn't want to think it through, somebody who doesn't want to plan, they just want to get it all done, they're going to end up in a place of want. They're going to not be as productive. The thoughts, verse number 6, the getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death. God says getting money by dishonest measures has a long-term consequence. The robbery of the wicked shall destroy them, because they refuse to do judgment. The way of a man is froward and strange, but as for the pure, his work is right. It is better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. The soul of the wicked desireth evil, his neighbor findeth no favor in his eyes. The Bible is teaching us in these passages that really ultimately there is always the temptation to cut corners. There is always the temptation to take the easy route. It seems like if we take the path of least resistance, that it'll just be better. And God is teaching us here that there is work. It is worth it to work. It is worth it to take the extra time to plan. It is worth it to discipline your selfish nature. It is worth it to say no to sinful anger. It is worth it to not lose your temper. It is worth it to be long-suffering. It is worth it to be patient. It is worth it, as this last verse teaches, the soul of the wicked desireth evil, his neighbor findeth no favor in his eyes. In other words, it is worth it to go the extra mile to establish your testimony. One of the things that I have been very diligent to do, and that is to remove the snow of a number of my elderly neighbors. And it is time consuming. And, some of those days where we get those snowstorms, I have a lot on my plate, and many times I've had to get up super early, 4 or 4:30 in the morning, in order to get all of the driveways cleared out and still be able to carry on my day and get the things done that I need to. And I'm not bragging, but I just am using it as an illustration to say, you know what? I want to have a good testimony with my neighbors. I want them to know that I love them. I want them to know that I care. I want them to know that I'm a hard worker. I want them to know that I'm diligent. I want them to know that I'll look out for them. And that takes effort. That costs me time. It costs me energy. It costs me sweat. But, some of those decisions they're not the easy path. It'd be easy to just say, you know what, it's not my house, it's not my driveways, let them fend for themselves. They can hire it done or they can do it themselves. That would be the easy path. But I would miss out on some of the things that I'm trying to establish with my neighbors. The same thing is true. When we find the easy path, we just try to do enough to get by, or we're always looking for the easiest path to keep everything going, just barely going if we can. It's just not the right path. God is teaching us that some things are just worth it to put the extra effort in. Some things are worth it to cost you a little time, to cost you some money, to cost you some energy, because of what you're trying to establish. And so the lesson today is pretty simple. Let's not try to take the easy path all the time. Let's not try to cut corners. Let's do the right thing. Let's make sure that we're willing to pay the price and go the extra mile in order to establish the testimony that would please the Lord. And so, no cutting corners. Make sure you do things right and do it the best that you can. The Lord bless you. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.